Hi guys, and welcome to another Divi theme video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, we're continuing on with our little glowing theme here. We've got glowing boxes and glowing buttons, and today we've got a glowing grid for you. Sort of glowing info grid. When you hover over it, it's going to have a little backlight there. And we've also put a little glowing button in there. That's a nice little striking little feature to have on your site. Really easy to do. There's no extra coding or plugins involved in this today. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is enable the Visual Builder. Once enabled, let's go down to where we want to work. And I'll just delete this section. And we can start from scratch. So I'm going to go down, I'm going to put in a new section, little blue button right here. I'm going to make it a regular section. I'm going to put in a row with 4 columns, obviously put in what works for you, but with 4 it makes a nicer grid, I think. And we're going to put a call to action module in here, so we can use the button. Okay, obviously put your title in here, put what you want your button to say right there. As you can see, or as you can't see, there's no button there at the moment. That won't appear till we put a link in. Put your content in here. It's a little too much content for me. I'm going to cut mine off. Say just after design settings there. Don't want too much info in there. Although we're going to make these a fixed height so you can have different amounts of info and they'll stay the same height. Okay, if we go down to link below, this is where you can put your button link in. And when I put a link in here, or a hashtag or anything in there, the button will appear. There we go. And always best practice with links. If you link into your own site, leave it in the same window. If you're linking to somebody else's site, put it in a new tab so your site stays open. Now, if you want to link the whole module somewhere, you can link it to a different URL if you want to, or the same. It's entirely up to you. Put it down here. Okay, well, background color, I'm going to take that away, and we'll lose our white writing and stuff there, but that's okay. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. I'm going to go back into the row, the green tab right here, and give it a background color so we can see what's going on. I'm also going to make it full width. So I've gone into the row, I'm going to go down to black background. And there we are, I've given it a color there. I also want to make this row full width so it stretches the full width of any screen. So to do that, let's go over to our design. We'll go over to design sizing. I'm going to take the width up to 100%. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it down below in max width, Control V to paste, or type it in if you prefer. We've now got a full width row, which is great. So let's just save this. And I'm going to go into the actual section, the blue tab, and taking it away any padding, so there's no extra padding top or bottom. Blue tab for the section right here, design, spacing. I'm just going to put a 0 in. I'm going to hit the chain to do the bottom as well. And we've got rid of any extra padding there. That's great. Okay, save that. I'm going to go back into my little box here and we'll start decorating it. And I've got a little space top and bottom on the row, and that's absolutely fine. But actually I need to go back into the row because I've got gutters, which means if I copy this and pull it across, gutters are the spacing in between the two and also in between the rows as well. So I'm going to get rid of that. That was just to demonstrate that. I want to take the gutters down to nothing, so we've got no space between our actual widgets so we can form our grid. So let's go back into the row that we just got out of. We're going to go to content and sizing for the row where we were just now. Use custom gutter width. Just flip that one to on. If you take it all the way down to 1, there'll be no space between. That's what we wanted today. So let's get back out of here again and we'll start decorating our little module here. Alright, first thing I want is it sort of a light purple border for our glow effect. So let's do that. I'm going to go into the module, Go to design, going to go to border. Don't want it rounded, want it perfectly square so we can complete our grid. Border styles, this will do all four at once, top, right, bottom or left individually if you want to. Border width, I'm just going to make it 1 pixel. I'm going to make it purple in color. I want it a little brighter than that, so I'm going to click on the color and I'm going to bring it up to the top of the matrix there, just so slightly more purpley pink sort of thing. There we go. I'm going to copy this color because I'll be using that again. Okay, and I'm going to make our title that color. Let's go to our title text, and I can simply right click, paste that button color in there. There we go. Also, I want to decorate that button so it's got a sort of glow effect like the buttons we did the other day, and we can do this pretty quickly. So let's go down to our button. I want to use custom styles for the button. Now the text size itself, the text color I should say right here, I want to paste that button text color in there. There we go. Now I want it to appear like it's got a glow on the background, so let's set a hover state to do that, and this is common to most Divi modules. Go up over the dark writing here, any of the dark writing, and you'll see a little bunch of icons appear. If there's a little arrow there, we can set a desktop state when your mouse is not on it, which we want just like that, and a hover state when our mouse is on it. Now when we hover on it, I want it to be white, and we're going to give it a colored box shadow to give it a backlit effect. So what we'll do is we'll roll on down the button box shadow. Now I don't want an icon today, so I'm going to turn the little show button icon off. There's text shadow. We actually want box shadow, and if we hover over it, there's no little arrow there, but that's okay. We can get around that by using the color transparency. So let's put this one in. It gives it shadow all around. You won't see it because at the moment it's black, but I want to make that shadow color the same as our button color there, or even just a purple will do. And there it's popped in, but we only want this on hover. So again, we've actually got a little arrow if we hover over shadow color there. So before I actually do the hover state, I want to make that a little bit more pronounced. So let's do shadow blur strength, pull that up a little bit, and spread strength. Looks more like a sort of glowing type light there. There we go. Now I only want to see that when they hover on it. When they don't hover on it, regular state, don't want to see that at all, so I'm going to make it transparent. When we hover on it, I want it to be the regular purple color. There we go. So we got that little backlight type effect, and that when we're not on it. Okay, and just to finish off, I'm going to make this a fixed height. Now the reason I want to make it a fixed height is because that way we can put in different amounts of text and all the boxes will say the same height. So to do this, I'm still in design. I'm going to go to sizing. Let's close up the button. There's sizing just below it. Height, I'm going to give it 400 pixels. Just put in the 400, it'll put in the pixels for you. And let's put our content just down a little bit, so let's give it a bit of padding on the top. So let's try 100 pixels. Yeah, I think that's going to work absolutely fine. Just going to flip my little arrow on there, take it back to desktop state, so that's how it is on regular desktop. Now also when we hover over this, I want it to have a bit of an inner glow, a bit like it's being pushed down and we got lights coming in from the side. So to do that, what I'm going to do is turn the border white when we hover over it and put a sort of inner box shadow in there. So let's do that. Let's go down to our border color, bring up the hover state with the little arrow again. Desktop, it's fine like that. When we hover over it, I want it to be white, a bit like we did with our button. I think I might take the border size on that button down to 1 pixel in a moment. Okay, so now when we hover over it, it's white. When we don't, it's purple. Great. And we want to go down to box shadow. And this time I'm going to use an inner shadow, this one right here. But I only want to see it on the hover again. So again, we've got no little arrow up there, but we can do it with our color again. I'm going to make it purple again. Let's bring our spread up a little bit so it looks like an inner light. And the blur strength. There we go, something like that, so it's sort of blurring in like a light would in the background there. But we only want this on hover, so again with the shadow color, little arrow. Desktop, don't want to see that at all, so I'm going to make it transparent. When we hover over it, I want it to light up. I want to have our background color back in there, so it wants to be like that. Great, so all I want to do now is duplicate this and just take that button line down slightly. So let's do the button first. Go up, back to our button. Here's the border width. I'm going to take that down to 1, I believe. That's better. Let's take it back down to the desktop state. It's a hover state at the moment. There we go. So we got that on desktop. When we hover over it, it's going to light up. There we go. The button will light up individually, but that's fine. Okay. So when you're happy, we'll save this. And let's duplicate. And pull it across with a little cross there. I'll pop him over here. Doesn't matter which one you pull because they're all the same. There we go, and we can just duplicate this row. Green tab, just hit the little 2 squares to duplicate. And the top one, we can take any padding off the bottom. Design, spacing, padding. Here's the bottom, just put a 0 in there. And the bottom one, we'll take any padding off of the top, so they'll be buffered up against each other. Green tab again. Or you can just add another module underneath the original module, is fine, it'll do the same thing. So we want to take the padding off the top, into the row, design, spacing. Here's the top, let's put a 0 on there. There we go, they're buffered up together now. And of course, because we made them a fixed height, you can put different amounts of content in there and they'll remain the same height. Left, we get 50 left, hit the chain and do 50 right. And I'll do the same for the row underneath also. Design, spacing, 50 left. It'll put in the pics for you, hit the chain, it'll do the opposite side. That's great, so we can actually see the whole grid now. We've pulled that in a bit. I want to change these button backgrounds on hover. Now you may think, well, we've got to do 8 of them, but we don't. We can do 1 and just extend the style. So let's go in there. And all we need to do is go to design, to the button, and it's the button background on hover that I want to do. So let's make sure we got this on. Turn it to hover. And make sure we got a black background in there. That's fine. We can actually have a black background on both. Okay, that should work. Make sure we've got the border that we want on both. Button border color, get up the little hover state. So regular, it's going to be our purple right there. And hover should be our white right there. Fantastic. Okay, now presuming we're happy with that, we can right click and extend the module styles, or sorry, extend call to action styles. And I want it to do this section. So every section it'll do those styles for. Okay, let's try that again. Exit the visual builder, Let's go on down to where we were. There's our little grid boxes. And when we hover over, we've got our little backlight right there. And when we hover over a button, we got our little lighted border and background glare effect on there too. And that's a nice little feature to have on your site, really eye-catching. People are mousing around, that starts to happen. It's going to get their attention, which is what you want in a website. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.